Her name is Amara Wells, a wildlife veterinarian working at the Serengeti Conservation Outpost in Tanzania. For 10 years, she has lived on the edge of the savanna, far from the city, surrounded only by wind, grass, and wild creatures. Her home is a small tent with wooden floors, and every morning she wakes to the sound of lions roaring in the distance. To others, that sound might mean danger. But to Amara, it's the rhythm of life itself. She has dedicated her life to studying and protecting the great lions of the Serengeti, creatures both feared and worshipped, ancient and fragile. Her days are long, her nights lonely, yet she says she has never truly been alone. "When you live among lions," she once wrote in her field journal, "you learn that silence speaks louder than words." One afternoon, as the sun hung low and painted the plains in gold, Amara received a distress call over the radio. A lioness had been spotted near the riverbank, wounded, limping, and alone. Hunters had been active in that area recently, leaving behind traps meant for antelope but deadly to anything that stepped wrong. Without hesitation, Amara packed her medical kit, loaded it into the old jeep, and drove toward the river. The road was rough, winding through tall grass and scattered acacia trees. The sound of cicadas filled the air, and the heat shimmered like glass. After half an hour, she spotted movement near the water, a large lioness, breathing heavily, one paw dragging behind. Even from a distance, Amara could see the wire trap biting deep into the flesh. The lioness turned her head and growled weakly, too exhausted to flee but too proud to surrender. Amara parked the jeep at a safe distance, her heart pounding. She knew this was the most dangerous kind of rescue, helping a wounded predator. She spoke softly, her voice steady despite the fear. "Easy, girl. I'm not here to hurt you." Step by step, she approached, her tranquilizer gun in hand. One dart, that was all she had. The lioness roared once, loud and defiant, before collapsing from exhaustion. Amara aimed quickly, fired, and hit the mark. The tranquilizer hissed into the air. Within moments, the lioness's body went still, her breathing heavy but steady. Amara rushed forward, kneeling beside her massive paw, now swollen and bleeding. She cut through the steel wire with pliers, each twist revealing the raw wound beneath. "You poor thing," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. The smell of blood mixed with the warm scent of the lion's fur, primal, powerful, real. She cleaned the wound, injected antibiotics, and wrapped it with a bandage soaked in medicine. Then she sat back, her hands shaking, watching the lioness breathe. The sunset painted the river red as flocks of flamingos flew overhead. For a long while, Amara simply sat there, feeling the pulse of life beside her. When the lioness finally stirred, Amara whispered, "Rest. You're safe now." That night, she camped nearby, keeping watch with a small fire burning. Every sound of the grass made her heart skip, a reminder that she was deep in the kingdom of predators. But she couldn't leave. Not yet. She had to make sure the lioness would survive the night. Around midnight, the wind shifted. The fire flickered, and in the darkness came a low growl. Amara froze, flashlight trembling in her hand. Eyes glowed in the dark, not one pair but several. A pride of lions had arrived, drawn by the scent of blood. Amara's breath caught. If they attacked, she had no chance. But then, something unexpected happened. The largest of the lions, a golden male with a black mane, approached the wounded lioness, and gently nuzzled her face. It was her mate. He sniffed the bandaged paw, growled softly, then turned to Amara. Their eyes met, wild and human, predator and healer, and for a moment, there was no fear. He stepped closer, slow and deliberate, until she could hear his breathing. Amara stayed perfectly still, heart hammering. The lion stopped just a few meters away, then lay down beside the wounded lioness. Around them, the rest of the pride settled into the grass, watching silently. Under the moonlight, Amara realized she was surrounded by 10 lions, and yet she had never felt safer. Dawn came softly, bathing the savanna in gold once again. The lioness stirred, lifted her head, and looked straight at Amara. Her eyes were calm now, clear and bright. Slowly she stood, testing her paw weak, but healing. The male brushed against her side, and together they walked toward the open plain. The pride followed, the grass parting like a sea of gold. Amara watched them disappear into the distance, a lump in her throat. She packed her gear, leaving only the bandage wrapper buried in the sand. As she drove back to the station, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: hope. That night, she wrote in her journal, "In the eyes of the lion, I saw no hate, only recognition. We are not enemies. We are both trying to survive." Days passed. The rainy season began, turning the plains green and alive. Amara continued her work, treating elephants with infections, rescuing orphan cheetah cubs, tagging migrating birds. But the image of the lioness never left her mind. Every morning, she scanned the horizon, wondering if she would see her again. One afternoon, weeks later, as Amara was repairing a fence near the station, she heard a familiar sound, a deep, rumbling growl. She turned and froze. At the edge of the tall grass stood the same lioness, her golden eyes watching calmly. The bandage was gone, the paw healed. Beside her were two small cubs, no more than a few weeks old. Amara's heart leapt. The lioness had not only survived, she had become a mother. For several seconds, they just looked at each other across the clearing, a silent reunion. The lioness stepped closer, her cubs hiding behind her legs. Amara slowly knelt, lowering her head, a gesture of respect in the animal world. The lioness stopped a few meters away, then let out a soft rumble, almost a purr. One of the cubs, curious and unafraid, padded forward through the grass. Amara held out her hand. The cub sniffed her fingers, then rubbed its tiny head against her palm. The lioness watched, calm and trusting. In that moment, something sacred passed between them, a bond beyond language, beyond species. The cub returned to its mother, who turned gracefully and began walking back toward the open plain. Before disappearing into the tall grass, the lioness looked back one last time. Her gaze was soft, almost human, a silent thank you. Amara stayed kneeling long after they were gone, the sound of their footsteps fading into the wind. She whispered, "Go live, my friend. The wild needs you more than I do." The sun dipped low, and the plains turned to gold once more. That night, she wrote her final entry for the season. "Today I saw proof that compassion echoes, even in the wild. Trust is not given easily here, yet it came to me on four paws." Weeks later, while flying in a small aircraft over the reserve, Amara spotted something near the river. A pride of lions resting under the acacia trees. And among them, a lioness with a faint scar on her front paw. She smiled, whispering through the radio static, "You made it." The pilot asked what she meant. Amara just shook her head. "An old friend," she said softly. "One who taught me what courage really means." The plane climbed higher, the savanna stretching endlessly below, golden, alive, eternal. Somewhere down there, a lioness walked with her cubs, wild and free. And somewhere up here, a woman carried their story in her heart, proof that even the fiercest of creatures can recognize kindness. When the sun set that evening, the sky burned with colors of fire and honey. Amara stood outside her tent, listening to the distant roar rolling over the plains. It was not a cry of danger, it was a song. A song of survival, of gratitude, of life continuing in its purest form. She smiled, whispering into the wind, "Sleep well, my lioness. Until we meet again." The roar faded into the night, echoing softly across the Serengeti, a reminder that somewhere, trust still lives between woman and wild.